making up a song about copyright.
Welcome to 5 Great Villain Songs, where we talk about one villain song from each of the 5 categories: non-Disney movies, theater, TV shows, video games, and fan-made. These are not ordered in any way and will release a volume every month. Feel free to let me know what other songs you want me to talk about in a future volume. In the meantime, enjoy the show.
Who's bad?
The Academy Awards. Truly the most prestigious award ceremony for only the highest cinematic artistry. Only for masterpieces like Everything Everywhere All at Once, an estimable motion picture overflowing with philosophy, family drama, and an alternate universe where everyone has hot dogs for fingers? This one Best Picture, y'all. Okay, all joking aside, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a surprisingly fun watch for a film recognized by the Oscars as Best Picture, an award that's usually given to either artsy dramas or whatever will make the internet go berserk. And yes, this absurdist Matrix homage with hot dog fingers has a villain song. Everything Everywhere's soundtrack was composed by experimental band Son Lux, who also wrote and produced 2 original songs for the film. One of them, This Is a Life, was nominated for Best Original Song, but for this volume, I want to talk about their second one, Fence. To set the scene, this movie follows a woman named Evelyn Kwan Wong, who is discontent with her life as the owner of a laundromat and has become cold and distant from her loved ones, not the least of which being her daughter Joy. She holds high expectations for Joy and isn't particularly pleased when she does things she doesn't approve of. After Evelyn becomes the chosen one and Verse jumps with the alpha version of her husband Waymond, it's revealed that Alpha Joy faced similar pressure from Alpha Evelyn, to the point that her mind became splintered. This results in her becoming the main villain of the movie, Jobu Topaki. With Alpha Evelyn deceased, Jobu now roams through every single dimension simultaneously while also jumping from one to the other, and she's on a mission to destroy the entire multiverse by inventing the Everything Bagel. Would you believe me if I told you that's the least weird thing in this movie? Fence is written and performed from the perspective of Jobu Tupaki, who, need I remind you, is still Evelyn's daughter. Even as a verse-jumping nihilist who wants to destroy the multiverse, she still wants to be accepted for who she is by her mother. When you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like a straightforward plea from Joy/Jobu to Evelyn, sensing the disappointment in her eyes and just wanting so badly to be accepted by her. When you analyze the lyrics further, you also realize that there are tons of double meanings in them. Jobu may be the villain of the movie, but Evelyn isn't exactly an innocent chosen one protagonist. The love she had for Waymond has shrunk to the size of a poppy seed, and she's shown complete disregard for her daughter's feelings and relationship. A lot of it stems from generational trauma, because of course it does, because her father disowned her when she went off to marry Waymond. This is what ultimately leads her to keeping everyone in her life at arm's length. In other words, she's building fences around them. You could easily look at Fence from the perspective of either Jobu, the villain in Evelyn's story, or Evelyn, the villain in Joy's. Heck, you could even look at this song from the perspective of both Jobu and Evelyn at the same time, which is surprisingly fitting for this movie. Okay, in all seriousness, you can feel both Evelyn and Joy singing to each other throughout this song. Even the chorus feels like a back and forth between the two. All this coupled with the eerie and thumping instrumental as well as Moses Sumney's haunting vocals, and you got a song that captures a darker reflection of a real-life mother-daughter conflict. After watching the movie, some might even question whether or not the verse jumping and alternate timelines were real, or just an absurdist reflection of Evelyn's inner conflict that ultimately resulted in her realizing how much she was hurting her daughter. It certainly is interesting to think about. Who the heck are you? I'm you, from another dimension. Wait, that's not how verse jumping works in this movie. Wanna go get some bagels? Yeah, sure, why not? Queenie's back! We mentioned in the first 5 great villain songs back in the Der Whole Rock segment that the Queen of the Night had a second aria. Well, here it is in all its manipulative and vocally challenging glory. In this scene, the Queen of the Night appears before our hero Tamino and tells him that her beautiful daughter, Princess Pamina, was kidnapped before her very eyes by a horrid being as the Queen stood by helplessly. Yep, sure. In the prior scene, Tamino was given a portrait of Pamina and was promised her by the queen's henchwoman. So of course he's going to listen to the evil crazy lady who just showed up. Move it! There are pretty girls on the line! While she hasn't gone totally insane yet at this point in the opera, it's not rocket science to figure out she's a baddie from her first entrance. Right before this piece, she appears with a roaring thunder sound effect and is usually costumed in a glistening all black or otherwise dark dress. Spot the villain! Win a prize! She has this grand recitative where she tells the story of how she would like Tamino to envision it. Here's the thing, it's partially true, but of course not entirely. Pamina was kidnapped, but let's be real, the queen could have probably done something about it herself. She just needed someone to kill Sarastro for her. Or maybe her 3 henchwomen just want to reward the random tenor they swooned for in the woods. I don't know. Anyways, it's less doing the work herself, more subtle manipulation. Certainly more subtle than her second and more famous aria. After treating us with some quasi-despair, the shorter yet more intense version of the aria begins as she turns to Tamino and almost commands him to be the one to rescue Pamina. Fine print of murdering Sarastro sold separately. Oh, those coloratura lines are glorious. The higher and faster she goes, the more you truly feel her power and antagonism. It's always lovely to hear the sweeter, lighter, more ingenue roles demonstrate their vocal agility, but it works just that much better when it's used as a vocal tool of madness. This is honestly an underrated villain song if I ever heard one. It's not that Magic Flute is some niche opera or that no one knows who the queen is, but when you're in the shadow of... that, it can be easy to be brushed aside. Make no mistake, this is where the Queen of the Night establishes herself as the conniving, manipulative, and celebrated villainess of the ages. Fiction's worst mother. You got a lot of picks for just how horribly you can raise a child, and there have been several candidates raised over the years. But recently, there's pretty much one candidate that everyone points to take the crown. And for good reason. Ragyo Kiryuin. Oh boy, there are some choice words I could say about this absolute monster. The main villain of Kill la Kill, Ragyo sees her kids as more science experiments than anything else, and abuses both Ryuko and Satsuki in every way you can abuse a child. To a disgustingly uncomfortable degree. And her theme, Bloomingc, is a haunting song detailing her worldview in a strangely beautiful fashion. It's a calm, somewhat hypnotic song that doesn't really sound villainous at first. In fact, it sounds hopeful, triumphant even. And then you take a look at the lyrics. If you couldn't tell by the name, Bloomingc is a song sung in German. The song's name translates to flower wreath and talks about someone's will to grow stronger, to overcome the hardships of the world. And the singer wonders why you would cry over wilted flowers. At first you think it's just a twisted lullaby to her kids, and yeah, it is. But really think about the symbolism here and why the song is in German. It's because what the song is describing is eugenics. Ragyo's motivations are a very brutal summation of weeding out the weak, and that applies scarily well to her treatment of her daughters. Ryuko was literally thrown out like trash, a failed experiment in her eyes, and that question about why you'd look so sad about wilted flowers It's a genuine question Ragyo is posing to Satsuki. Why would you care about those who are so inferior? Ragyo is an unbelievably immoral monster, let alone a horrible mother, and this song is a display of exactly that. Her brutal philosophy, her twisted love, and her casual dismissal of anyone not living up to her standards, Bloomingc shows all that in a sickeningly sweet display. Now, get her off my screen, please. There's only so much of her really anyone can stomach. One thing I love about this series is discovering surprise hits just through research. I don't think I would have touched upon Grand Blue Fantasy without it. Grand Blue Fantasy is a gacha game series that isn't released in the West officially, but it's had strong enough following to get 2 fighting games and an action RPG released here in its place. And man, do they go crazy with some of the set pieces. It follows a captain of the sky ship named Gran, or Jita, as they search for their father in the realm of endless sky. In Versus Rising, you meet the captain's mother, Rayan, or at least a younger version of her was brought here by the god of destruction to act as a vessel. Well, that should be fine, right? Well, no. To defeat the current big bad Lucilius, you decide to summon said god, which leads Rayan to turn into Versusia, an incarnation of the god of destruction Bahamut. Yeah, you heard me, Bahamut. In this verse, Bahamut is a legendary dragon capable of destroying entire worlds. Versusia is a version of it that is entirely mechanical and emotionless, seeing destruction as a command to be executed. At least it would be if Rayan's influence weren't still within her. Despite the captain's determination to save their mother, Versusia destroys everything instantly right after. Versusia still exists after, but so does Rayan. Despite not understanding Rayan's emotional pleas, she agrees to turn back the clock and give the captain the chance they didn't have, both out of curiosity and assuming that the outcome wouldn't be different. To her surprise, it did. Gran and Jita were able to overcome her, leading to a new timeline being created. Her theme Versusia talks about Rayan's sorrow and isolation from her kids. She was able to meet them only briefly, to be trapped as a soul in a dragon whose purpose is to destroy reality. Despite this, her influence still sways Versusia herself and leads to a new outcome. It also uses central themes of Grand Blue such as the realm of blue sky and the concept of rebirth and destruction, ideas that Versusia embodies through both design and lore. Versus Rising's ultimate story hasn't ended as we go through Season 2 of DLC, but when it does, who knows what awaits us at the end of the sky.
Now watch us play our part. Now watch us dance and sing. Don't want to fall apart like kids who never seem to scream.
Well, we already talked about Tough Love on my original fan-made villain songs countdown. What other YouTube content creators have made songs about evil mothers? Huh? Yep, as of 5 great villain songs, first we're talking about a fan-made villain song produced by a professional band from the music industry. Heavy metal band Ice Nine Kills. Back in 2018, the band released an album titled The Silver Scream, which consists of songs based on a variety of horror movies from slashers like Nightmare on Elm Street to the gothic horror of Edward Scissorhands. And no, this was not some deal made with a film studio for songs written specifically for the properties they're based on. The lead singer of Ice Nine Kills, Spencer Charnas, wanted to make this album simply because he's a fan of horror. And if we're looking for songs about an evil mom from the horror genre, Ice Nine Kills has you covered with a song inspired by Friday the 13th, Thank God It's Friday. This song details the backstory of Jason Voorhees, which, as many fans of the franchise know, his mom Pamela Voorhees plays a huge part in. If you're a casual viewer of horror, you've probably asked yourself, why does Jason Voorhees kill? Most importantly, why does he mostly kill people who are engaging in stuff I can't show because YouTube? Well, as Pamela tells us in the first Friday the 13th movie, as well as this song, it was the negligence of the horny camp counselors that resulted in her son Jason drowning in Crystal Lake. Pamela went on her murder spree in the first movie to avenge her son, but then her murder plot was cut short, quite literally, and Jason, being the good little mama's boy that he is, rises from his watery grave, intending to finish what she started. This song is sung from the perspectives of the deceased camp counselors, warning the living ones not to make the same mistake they did, because if they give in to their lust, Jason will do everything in his power to put an end to their negligence. The same negligence that led him to his demise. Thank God It's Friday is obviously very screamo metal, but when that chorus drops, the goosebumps come in spades. Thank God, no pun intended, that Ice Nine Kills knows when to pull back and let their lead singer's vocals really shine. And having whispers from Pamela in the song itself serves as just another reminder that this is just as much her song as it is Jason's. Remember the titular music that plays whenever Jason comes a-knockin'? You know, the subtle whispers that you can't quite make out? In the first movie, that's Jason saying to Pamela,
"Kill her, Mommy. Kill her."
and in subsequent movies, it's Pamela Voorhees saying to Jason from beyond the grave. In other words, Jason doesn't just kill horny teenagers at Camp Crystal Lake because it was how he died. It's because he wants to avenge his mother in the same way she attempted to avenge him. It's both out of revenge and to carry on the legacy left by his mom, an act of undying devotion to her. Quite literally, in fact. Thank God It's Friday is a song that truly understands both Jason and his mom as characters. Again, I have to emphasize that this song was made by professional musicians with very little interference from Ice Nine Kills' label, Fearless Records. Heck, the song would get an acoustic version on the deluxe edition of the Silver Screen featuring both Spencer and Ari Lehman, aka the original Jason Voorhees from the end of the first movie. This just shows how dedicated a horror fan Spencer is, and I'm glad that he gets to let his fandom flag fly while being an industry professional. With how uptight the music industry can get about fan-made music, thank God It's Friday exists. Now it begs the question, what other villain songs have been produced by the music industry? Future Countdown? Maybe? I don't know. Let me know.
Cut!